Welcome back to Daily Dose. Today we're going to take a look at Psalm 22, verse 8. If you recall from the prior video, the psalmist is expressing anguish about how those who look upon him are mocking him and they're shaking their head, and we saw how that was connected to the suffering of Jesus on the cross. We're going to continue that theme with this video as now the psalmist expresses really the content of what these mocking scoffers are saying about him and his relationship to the Lord. So let's read it. It's a short verse, very fascinating connection, though, to Matthew, so you want to stick around for that. So let's read it. Elpisen epikurion, chrusasto auton, sosato auton, hati thele auton. And already you notice there's this just punch after punch of referring to this hymn, this hymn, this hymn. That's the speaker, that's the psalmist who is the subject of these sort of mocking comments. Let's begin with the first part of what these people say about him. Elpisen is from elpizo. That means to hope. It's a third singular aorist active indicative. The Hebrew there is a bit weird. It's goal. It's not a super common verb. It does mean something like to commit. And so it's a bit vague, actually, in the Hebrew. I think the translator here has really tried to pick up the sense of, okay, the psalmist has hoped, if you will, upon the Lord. Remember, he's already been calling out to the Lord. So they've recognized that. He hopes upon the Lord or has hoped upon the Lord. And if so, rusasto is the expected response. But again, it's a mocking, sarcastic kind of thing. So rusasto is an imperative, say third singular aorist middle imperative, from hruomai, which means to rescue or to deliver. And you're followed up with this auton. So because he's hoped upon the Lord, let the Lord actually, so the Lord is the implied subject of this imperative, let the Lord rescue him. You can almost get the sense of like, and we're going to see if that happens, and we don't think it will, or whatever. You can sort of get a sense of that sarcasm. Now, it's almost chiastic here, where you have this statement about the psalmist, a reference to the Lord, and then it kind of reverses itself here. So we begin sosato, it's another imperative, same morphology, although in this case, actually, it's a third singular aorist active imperative. Sozo means to save, so of course, parallel there. Let him save him, that again is the psalmist. You see these are parallel. And then here's the explanation, hati, which could be something like, because, this is true about him, or something like that. Thele is third singular present active indicative, because he desires him. In other words, the psalmist hopes upon the Lord, so let's see if that plays out. Let him rescue him. Let him save him because he desires him. In other words, if the Lord desires this, lamenting psalmist, let's see if he's going to save him. That's the basic idea behind the psalm. Let's take a look, or this verse. Now let's take a look at Matthew 27, verses 41 through 43. We're picking up on what we actually looked at last time. Is the next few verses. We saw how the bystanders are wagging their head at Jesus on the cross. Now we see that the chief priests and the scribes and elders, they're good examples of these mockers. They mock him also, saying he saved others. And in fact, there's a connection there with sosato. Actually, if you look at it in the Greek of Matthew, he cannot save, same verb again, himself. He's the king of Israel, or at least so, he has been put on trial for that claim. Let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe in him. Now, what's really interesting is that Matthew doesn't encode this as a citation, and your English Bible might not always pick up on this. Some do, some don't. But the next line of their speech, of their mockery, is from Psalm 22, or 21 in the Septuagint numbering, verse 8. It's just kind of a remix. He trusts in God, and so you see the pepoithen here, epiton theon. That's very close to the hoping in God. It's not exactly verbatim. Let God now deliver him. So now you see the rusasto, and then you have the thele auton, if he desires him. So you see very tight connection there at the verbal level. And so perhaps unbeknownst to themselves, the priest and so forth, they take the words of the mockers on their own lips, which is super fascinating to me because Jesus has taken Psalm 22, verse 1 on his lips to frame the psalm as his own outcry to the Lord. Now we actually see that in that very moment, those who are opposing him also enact the script of the psalm, even though it was written many, many centuries before this event in Matthew, and they play out exactly the words of those who are condemning the psalmist here. So very fascinating that Matthew picks up on that connection, and hopefully that's fun if you haven't noticed that before. So painful, poignant scene making that connection to Matthew, but there's Psalm 22, verse 8.